Why choose a virtual assistant? Number one, most important part is the power of leverage. I realized that in the very beginning that, I need to get leverage. A lot of the coaching out there will tell you, hey, get your personal assistants and so on and so forth. I did that. I didn't find it cost effective. So I started with really after, letting go of my virtual assistant to have, I'm sorry, my personal assistant to get a virtual assistant to get the power of leverage and expand from that point on. So cost efficiency, focus on core tasks and round the clock operations. Now, we do not.
Rami, for a quick second, let's talk about when we talk about virtual assistants. That means anybody that's working, not necessarily next to you in some kind of virtual environment. We all, including Rob, we all are using virtual assistants from various countries. We're not primarily employing American assistants. And I have a girlfriend who has a daughter just graduated from college with some sort of a degree in social media marketing. She goes, "Hey, why don't you hire my daughter?" And I said, "I hate to tell you this," I said, "but I can't afford her. What
Yeah.
she's going to want, it's not affordable in terms of the workflow that we're looking for and in the output that we're getting, that we do wind up working with people in foreign countries. Right now, my virtual assistants are in South America, in Brazil. I know CJ and Ruthie. I know everyone's got some people in different environments, and we've worked with people from the Philippines, but from Mexico. Rami, where are your virtual assistants currently from or living?
From the Philippines, and now I don't know if one of my agents who just moved to Dominican Republic, he actually is setting up in DR because we did need Spanish speaking agents over there too as well, and he's already running
Sure,
the operations there. So
that's exciting.
yeah, that's something completely different too as well. And having spoken about that and going through the whole process, I think it is really about choosing the right virtual assistant. You're going to go through 5, 10. My experience is 20, 25. So I went through like I said, our own headaches because June was there too as well. So interviewing and so on and so forth. So don't get disappointed when you don't find the first one. It is very disappointing in the very beginning. But having a goal and why you need it, I think is so crucial. For me, it's really going to be on the core task that needs to be completed as we move forward. Any questions about this? All right, awesome.
All right, cool.
All right, you want to go ahead, Helena?
Well, mastering the art of delegation, and my lord, that is certainly not easy because as I know for myself, being a high D personality and a serious control freak, I just want to do everything myself because I just know that I'm going to do it perfectly, and I recognize that that's not possible. And I've also really learned to recognize that a lot of the things that I want to do, I don't have any idea how to do them. And it's interesting. My virtual assistants created a fairy style background for me, and we call it Fairyland. And when we go onto our virtual meetings in the morning, we do a daily a daily meeting in the beginning, and now we meet 3 times a week. But when we go into the meetings, if I'm going to ask them something that I don't even know is possible, I'll have on the Fairyland background. That way they know when they see me that I'm going to come at that with something that's probably crazy and never been done before. And I ask of them things that I know I can't do myself from a technological basis. So I've come to find that delegating things that I don't know how to do has been fantastic. But you need to be able to clearly communicate with your folks. There's all kinds of people out there that have time studies where you can really spend the day trying to figure out how you're spending your time and then how you want to most delegate your time. There's also so many resources out there on lists of the top 10 things that virtual assistants can do for you and things of that nature. I think we all have to decide what's most important in our business and what are you trying to drive your needle forward on, and then effectively communicating that to your virtual assistants. Again, we meet 3 times a week, and then we do a daily recap on Fridays for about 20 minutes, or a weekly recap on Fridays, just to say, okay, what did we get done? How are we doing? Did we do what we needed to do? And I think a really important thing is when it comes to task assignment, really making sure that you're giving them the tasks that align with their skill set and also align with what they want to do. I'm trying to repeatedly ask my guys, hey, if I'm asking you to do something that you think sucks, please tell me, and maybe we'll have somebody else do it. If I'm asking you to do something that's not really fun for you, or if I'm asking you something that's not really in your wheelhouse, or you'd rather do something different, I'm like, I want them all to be creative and feel like they're a part of a team versus someone who I'm just simply throwing out tasks to and asking them to check off a list. I want them to contribute, and that's why I have them for their talents. And
And
I
I
think
think
that's a big part of it.
Yeah, and I think that effective communication is key because we are high D drivers. I'll just blur something out to my assistant. And I'm like, okay, that
Yes.
got to get done. I have learned over the course that I have to slow down, write
Yes.
it down, or even send a video to the extent of, okay, I want A, B, and C to happen. And that goes throughout anyone that you're communicating with. It doesn't matter if it's an ISA, marketing person, listing coordinator, transaction coordinator, social media person. You have to clearly make effective
Hmm.
communication, even have systems and processes. Even for my TC, LC, they have checklist
Yes.
where, hey, is this needs to be done? That needs to be done. And again, I think what Helena said, align them with their what they're good at. If they're not
Correct.
having fun making calls, you got the wrong person in the wrong seat.
Right.
So identify that pretty quickly. You won't spend that much money because a lot of these a lot of them are applying for something and they don't like doing it actually, to be very frank with you.
Right.
And when we align them correctly, guess what? Our production went sky high, which is pretty cool.
Because it really takes a lot of time in the beginning. So you're front loading and spending a lot of time with someone, helping them to understand your business, what your core values are, what your goals are, and trying to help them sort of take the place of you. And you invest a lot of time in that person. You really want to make sure that that person is doing what they enjoy, so that they will have longevity with you.
Right, right.
And
And I think,
tapping into their skill sets. You know,
yep,
I've got a database management guy. This guy's a technology guy. He's a behind the scenes. He's like, that's his level. I need to make sure I am giving him tasks to allow him to rise to his level. You know, and really dive deep like that.
right. Awesome. Any questions? Okay, I'm gonna skip through this and then this got, oh, I'm going backwards, sorry. All right. The efficiency on how to go ahead and get somebody more efficient. One is gonna be where you're gonna delegate them to work towards, right? So for me, I have a transaction coordinator that's only focused on transaction. They don't dibble and dabble into the marketing side. They don't make any calls, cold calls, only warm calls. Then I have a client communication. I call them my, ISA. She is just running my database completely from A to Z. Anybody that likes a property, that wants to view a property, that gets all the tasks done, and making certain amount of calls every single day, right? So again, identify them. Then we have a transaction listing coordinator, and this person is only focused on listing side of it, from getting the paperwork done to putting up the sign to following up every single Monday, and making sure that the client get communicated. And if one of my agent has a listing, to making sure that they get a task written down in their system to say, hey, follow up with this person or what's happening. An admin coordinator is where I call June. He's a chameleon of everything, so he's the one kind of handling everything that's out there. Again, it could be a personal admin or it could be an assistant that is sitting next to you, but make sure that you understand these roles and be very efficient on who you're hiring and who to hire first. I think it really relies on you. I do read a lot of books. I see a lot of communication out there, but I do feel like you need just a one personal assistant just to do the back end stuff first, and then you move on to doing, cold calling, marketing, and so on and so forth.
And that's a good point, because sometimes you're just not really sure where to start. And I think that you can certainly agree, and Rob can certainly agree, that one person isn't going to be able to do all of those things, because we all know something called the disc personality. And you're that one personality is not able, there's no one personality that's able to really effectively wear all of those hats. So I think it's really important that you know your style, and that you understand the style of the people that you're interviewing, so that you can make sure that they're being seated on the right spot on the bus. Because again, one person really can't do is not going to be able to do all of those things. So sometimes you have to say, I may need to hire two people part-time versus one person full-time, because I have very different skill sets and tasks that need to be done, and very different styles of thinkers, if you will, that are going to be able to effectively do them for me.
Yeah. And I go through that. Like we had a social media person and they were just spending massive amount of time on video editing. And then when AI came out, it wasn't cost effective.
Mhm.
I actually reached out, tried to do trainings, and they wouldn't budge on, hey, let me take on this new technology that's out there to leverage my time or their time, and I'm willing to pay for it because of, we'll save hours in a day just to do video editing and so on and so forth. So again, making sure you have the right person in the right seat, and if you have that person, treat them good, and we'll talk about that too as well.
And something I think that I know that and you've got to hear is number three, is the continuing learning opportunities. I am always encouraging my virtual assistants. If I ever see a training or something that comes across my desk, and I'm like, here, this is your wheelhouse. I don't need to know how to use these tools. You do. Please educate yourself. And I'm always encouraging them, if you see something that you want to attend training wise, put it in your calendar. Make sure it's in your Clockify. Get paid for it, because I want them to learn and grow in the areas that are of their interest, and I want them to increase their skill set.
Yeah, yeah, and that's crucial, right? Because a lot of the times they'll understand something better than you will,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, what are they talking about? Even doing
Right.
ads, or even even sometime making a call. So even for my ISA, who's making the cold calls, she's going through Grant Cardone training. She went to Jordan Belfort trainings.
Right.
So I put her through all those applications
All
to
right.
build her skill level. To at that point, like she is a lethal weapon every time she's
Right.
talking to someone. And I mean, if you hear her calls from the beginning of when I hired her to now, it's like, oh my God, does this person exist? Yes, it does. But again, they appreciate that you are bringing their level of training higher than what most of the other people are not doing, right? Building that culture. So, you got to have a structure onboarding. My plan is 90 days. They have to get on the call if they're in ISS 9 to 11 with me. My team does it. So that's where we just take that leverage. I didn't have that before. You got to make sure that they understand and you cross correct everything that they need to be doing right then and there. And then also get feedback and evaluation, right? Sometimes we are so much of a high D personality, we're like boom, 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 and just getting everything
Right.
out there. And some work is being done. I'm like, oh yeah, I got this done again, having experience over 10 years, you have to look at what they're doing. Did they do it right? Course correct, get the training that they need, because if they want to improve, trust me, you have someone that could take your business to the next level. And
Absolutely.
we talked about the training opportunity, and I think that EXP has so much. The last training for the social media person, what was his name? We actually did a coaching call with him, and we learned. I'm literally launching my YouTube channel off of what he was saying to us. What was the name? I forgot. Mike Trod, right?
Yeah, in the
So
Rockstar training platform, there are a handful of calls that focus on social media, and there's a handful of Rockstar agent coaches that have done a handful of things to really talk about boosting your social media presence on the various different platforms. Mike's a big YouTube guy. Another girl, Man's a big TikTok person. There are a lot of people out there that are really advancing the needle very quickly, and it's great to be able to dial in on those people and just and see what they're doing. It's great to come from a culture of collaboration, and that's what you see on that Rockstar training platform. Is there's so many videos there of recorded trainings. That's, I mean, it's mind blowing. I actually spend my evenings watching those sorts of videos and not my days, because I can just get stuck in just doing nothing but learning and just absorbing it, and then wanting to share it with my team and everyone in my organization. And that's not the most effective dollar productive activity for me. So I really try to make sure on my calendar that I'm watching like trainings and things at night and staying, keeping myself focused. But again, for those guys, they're all about it. There's just so much collaboration. But I don't need to know how to build a YouTube channel. I actually went to my guys and said, hey, I need a YouTube channel. Here you go. Watch this training. You figure it out and let me know what deliverables you need from me. And with them, and it may have actually been you, Rummy, who many years ago exposed me to something called Trello. And I
yeah.
didn't know what Trello was. And it was very confusing and kind of mind blowing. And we didn't really circle back to it. And now we use Trello on a daily basis. And I have come to love this tool. And if any of you don't know what Trello is, it's just an amazing way to put your ideas, track your tasks. And we really use it now to drive our business, to be honest with you. It's been an amazing tool for us. And it's a great place for me to be able to stick my ideas when they pop into my head, and then essentially create some tasks and discussion and conversation around it, and watch a project grow from there. My first virtual assistance experience a handful of years ago, I had really wound up very luckily landing a great assistant who works in the Philippines. But because of the time difference, she would essentially work at night, while I was up during the day. And then it was just like, it was very, it bothered me that we were on the same time zone. Oh my gosh, she has a little kid, she's working at night, she should be sleeping. And I had all these things in my mind about it. And she didn't care. She said, this is my life, this is my job. And it just bothered me. I'm like, okay, no. And with my gentleman being both in Brazil, we're only a 1 hour time difference. So I just feel like for me, it just seems to work better. But we are a global world and a global society. And sometimes we can't hire someone just to do a project or just to do one thing for us. Rami and I are both trying to work with people who really, to build a relationship. We're both looking for virtual assistants that can kind of grow in our business. And as we check off tasks and we make some strides, that they can kind of help continue to grow with us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna give you my experience. I went back to India myself this past year, and a couple of my cousins are in virtual assistant, working for MasterCard, working for Uber,
Mhm.
and they live in the time zone that we live in, and obviously they get some perks on the weekend or so on and so forth. But they're leveraging the income that they'll get from other companies to kind of live the lifestyle that they want to live. That's really
Mhm.
important to understand, because
Yeah.
the income that they'll get from there from doing the work is completely different. So don't feel I feel bad.
Right. It's
The
me.
one
It
thing I
was
feel
so
bad
me.
is
It's like,
that
oh my God, like, you're kidding me.
yeah,
It was so me.
they're living the life, and they're having everything that they need according to the lifestyle that they want to live, because according to their other income, that
Right.
it's difficult for
They're
them
doing
to.
pretty well. Right. They're doing pretty well.
Yeah. So let's go into accountability. And I think that this
Sure.
is
Yes.
where you have to kind of understand that you have to put some dynamics or metrics into play. So I'll go to a couple of things that I use. One is end of the day report. They'll come in, end of the day, they will tell us what completed task there was. They will get up in the morning. I do 4 times a week, Tuesday through Friday, 15 to 20 minutes call. It's called a quick
Mhm.
huddle. We get into, hey, what's going on? What's happening? Anything important to tackle, which you don't understand. So that way we get that out of the way between 8:30 and 9. About 5 o'clock, they're checking in. And then the way they check in with me is through Telegram. I use a system just, it's like WhatsApp, but it's Telegram. And we
Mhm.
just have an open communication there. And if there's something that's needed, they're every hour they're saying, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Why? Because again, we want to be making sure that they're focused on the task that they're doing,
Mhm.
and holding them accountable to that too as well. So we use Monday.com. I did use Trello, but before Monday.com, my team kind of grew to a certain extent where Trello was just all over the place for me at that time. And then now, because we have three different companies or three different teams, it kind of helps me identify this dashboard and that dashboard and so on and so forth.
Sure.
With Monday.com, it's exact same thing. It's just a workflow that happens. And then from social media, they already have their posting output out there. I got to do a certain amount of social media posts for them. They'll edit it. They'll have a checklist on, hey, I put it on, Facebook. I put it
Mhm.
on um, IG and YouTube and so on and so forth. For my ISA, hard KPI is appointment set. Looking to get somebody who's qualified, name, number, information about their credit score. Are they willing to sit down? Are they willing to go see a property? So that's my KPI for her. But she does do, we use CTE, which is a system in the back end where she comes in every single day and she says 500 phone or 200 phone calls, 5 appointments set. And that's her KPI is appointment set. And that's how we kind of monitor, okay, they're in the right road. For a brand new person, like we said, I check in. I didn't do this before. I use Ring Central, and I'm encouraging everyone for the first 90 days, go in and every week are they making those calls. I had a ISA and I kept him for 5 6 years. Noticed after his production went so down, I'm like, this is not like him. And he was making only about 50 calls a day and taking the rest of the day off and just checking in. So again,
Right.
it's something that you have to, because you are the CEO of your company, you have to put this matrix, and it is tedious. Like I said, I'm a high D, my high C starting to come out now
Mhm.
because I have to expand. So making sure that you have these couple of matrix in, so that way you can hold them accountable, and actually they'll hold you accountable too. Because my social media person's like, hey, you got to give me 5 videos this week or 6 videos, and I gotta write them down and I gotta shoot them to them for that. So
Right. There's often deliverables that they need from us, and there's so many times where I feel like they're in a holding pattern on a certain project because they're waiting on something from me. And I will say to them, if you know that there is something outstanding from me, get with me and get in my face. Don't feel like, oh, I asked her once, I'm not going to bother her again. No, I need you to come back and remind me that you're waiting on something. You know, I need them to prod me and also hold me accountable too, like you said.
awesome, awesome. All right.
There was a question from Diane about Ring Central. She said, as your VA, it's your VA who's making your prospecting calls. And yes, you have a virtual assistant and ISA essentially in that role. Is that correct, Rami?
Yes. Ring Central, you just need a, what is it called? I got June here. He would know a little bit more, but um, just the internet birth one band, and then they'll be able to make calls. And that's the app is on their phone, the app is on their computer, the app is everywhere. I have my own app too as well, so it's pretty affordable. Some like to use what is it called? Not SkySlope, but I stopped using the other one. June, you want to
For
determine what the other one was? It called Sky something?
Skype.
Skype. There you go.
Can use
Skype.
Skype. Yeah.
Yeah, it's some of them feel it's just better. The connection is better. So
Yeah.
again, they're reasonable. We definitely use those two. Awesome. In lead generation, so a lot of the people out there will look at lead generation as the main key to go out there and hire a VA because of what? Because of the low cost, or hey, if I get 1 appointment or 2 appointment, what that happens, what that looks like. Now, let me give you my experience of what that looks like. They're not gonna, I call it come list me leads, or the buyer's gonna buy from you, and they're gonna sit down and do the presentation. Make sure you don't have those expectations, because they're not there for that. Unless you have one, great. Please help me understand that, because I haven't, the last 12 years, we haven't gotten someone that was like,
Yeah.
to that extent that they'll do it. From where we acquire, their job is to filter out through your system to get warm leads. And it could be somebody that's willing and able, what we call prime, that's going to purchase something in the next 90 days. That doesn't mean they're going to keep doing the follow-up. They'll hand it to my manager. The computer's on too as well. She'll get it. She'll qualify them. George is my listing specialist. He'll get all the listing side. They'll make the phone call. They'll requalify those leads to meet with them or sit down with them or do the presentation. So making sure that you have to understand what their roles are, because a lot of people think that, hey, they're going to come in and they're going to get me an appointment and I'm going to get a deal, and
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
it's a win-win. So making sure that you have the expectation that their job is to qualify them, that they're looking to go ahead and purchase the next 90 days, or looking to sell for a hot seller lead, or the rentals, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's almost like their job is, and as you amass leads, and as your database grows, as your time in the real estate industry grows, as it should, you're going to have ultimately thousands of people in your database, and you can't personally touch them. So having someone that can almost stir that pot and see what leads bubble up, see who has a pulse, see who's responding, and then essentially hand them up to the next warm body who can help them further. It's a more efficient way to do business when you start to get a lot of people in a database.
Yeah, and they'll get to the point where they'll ask the hard questions. Like, I can't imagine somebody saying to me, hey, what's your down payment? What's your credit score? They'll
Right.
get it. They'll literally get it. I mean, I was just amazed, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty awesome. Our agents won't even
Questions
able
to
to do
ask,
that.
yeah.
So
Or
making sure.
qualifying questions, right? And at the same time, and like you said, and train them to understand the importance of their job and the importance of asking those qualifying questions. And then it helps put that client in the right bucket. If it's someone who's not able to make a purchase anytime soon, then it allows that virtual assistant to put them in the bucket in your database. That's more of maybe a longer term nurture until they get their act together.
Right.
So
Any questions on this?
I just wanted to add something to what Helena and Rami were talking about. So, hey guys, my name is Kavita. I'm actually Rami's sales manager for his team here in New York. And let's be honest. Individual agents, if you're part of a team or if you're a team leader yourself, majority of us are not going to sit there and make 200 calls a day. Right. I mean, a lot of us, we've paid our dues. We've done that. We've been there. We've done that. But we don't want to continue doing that. So having a virtual assistant, especially someone who's making that phone call for you, that's what they're doing. They're leveraging that time for you for making those 100, 200 calls. So when they get that one valid person that says, hey, I'm ready to talk to a licensed realtor, that's where we step in.
Yeah.
Right. And now we gotta work that lead. I tell, our team agents, we tell them all the time, guys, the ISA's job is not to hand you a deal.
Right. Yeah.
Is to give you a qualified client. Now you need to convert that lead into a client that's going to get converted into a closing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've confirmed you've got someone who's willing to have a further conversation.
Exactly.
Is anybody using any third-party lead generation systems like OpCity? We have Revenos, and there's Zillow, there's Realtor.com that's charging 30 to 35%. Anybody using that right now?
We've gotten away from both Realtor.com and Zillow. What we're doing right now for paid lead generation is some campaigns through KV Core, which is our CRM that we're using, and we're also then doing some Facebook ads, and we've had some good success with that.
But if you are using those, because I wanted to dibble and dabble into that, they're doing the exact same thing. They're using the virtual assistants, and what they're doing is they're just giving you a warm lead. Hey, this person wants to go look at this. Hey, this person wants to go see this. They're not giving you somebody that's going to say, I'm going to go out, and they're giving you a ratio. If I give you 10, 2 will buy, or 3 will buy, or 1 will sell, or so on and so forth. Same exact scenario. Don't expect them to go ahead and do the whole job for them. So, which is pretty awesome.
Right.
So here are a couple of just the, we could go into many different avenues of what this looks like listing coordinator, transaction coordinator, social media, ISA, CRM management. I'm not sure, Helena, what I'm pretty sure it's aligned with this, if you're using any other ISA to do anything else. But again, these are just the basic ones that people are looking to hire. And what you would want to do is start from one assistant, and then kind of grow that department separately. And it's only on production, not on just because, hey, all right, let me get another person. So if you have transaction coordinator should be able from 30 to 40 leads, one full-time transaction coordinator. We have set them up on Tuesdays and Thursdays to follow up. And then 3-way text message with the agent and the manager. Listing coordinator should be able to handle close to about 20 to 30 leads on a given month on active listings full-time. That's just my opinion.
Right.
But that's the ratios that I got out there.
No, you're absolutely right. And what we have 2 virtual assistants, and one basically is our operations manager, and role is to primarily work the database side of our business, essentially really diving into KV Core, which is again the CRM that we have been using. And we used a lot of different products and slowly just started to consolidate and just sort of get ourselves down to one. And he does an incredible job essentially creating buckets and things of that lead funnels. And something that's very creative that I'd like to share that he has done is when we move a listing through that listing process of in the state of New Jersey, we don't do coming soons. We can do like a just listed. We'll then advertise an open house. If we have to do a price adjustment. Once we're under contract, advertise under contract. Once we're closed, we advertise a closed. And then once we're closed, we will then do a letter to the neighborhood versus circle prospecting. We do a letter to the neighborhood, and we let the neighbors know that a neighbor just sold in their neighborhood. And not necessarily what the sale price was, but that we may have had some challenges with the sale, or there was something unique to the sale that may be of interest to them. If they're considering selling, there were some things that came up that may be unique to the neighborhood that we'd like to share with them. And then we had them actually text us a code. We created a little PDF. So we're trying to really be creative in delivering some different deliverables, if you will, versus just some of the basic stuff. Again, just really trying to be creative with their talents, and it allows them now to do more tracking. We're actually now trying to drive leads back to the agent versus driving leads back to the team lead. All the little things that we can do to sort of help segregate and make sure that everyone's kind of landing in the bucket where they belong. And then we have a second assistant, Daniel, who was basically my social media manager. And Daniel was able to start out for me, really creating a consistent brand across all of my social media platforms, making me look consistent everywhere that I was, build out a fantastic YouTube channel for me, posts on social for me every day, manages my social media calendar. Daniel also goes into all of our social and works on creating engagement. Also, a big value, something else that these guys do for us, and they create digital flip books for us. For our listings using QR codes to take a potential client, from that MLS sheet, if you will, to the QR code that leads into this amazing digital flip book. But something that we're going to be using that I find is going to be a big value added for us is Daniel is able to do virtual staging. Right now I use HomeJab for all of my photography, and I believe HomeJab charges me $50 per virtual staged picture. Where now Daniel is able to do this for me, and we represent a lot of new construction developers. So a lot of times they don't stage they won't physically stage their products; they're empty. So we will do virtual staging. So this is really going to save us literally thousands of dollars this year alone in the pictures by having him be able to do this task for us, which is really incredible as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, Helen, and text me a little bit later. There's an AI that does that now. A little bit.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Honestly, I think he's just using the AI, which is perfect. I want those guys to embrace AI fully. I don't know how to do it. I want them to run with it. Yes. Go ahead, brother. 100%. Yes.
Yes. And again, don't get, because they got, they're, June could kind of talk about that. Don't get scared about that. You have to embrace it.
Hmm.
And you have to start using AI on your business. It is going to be more efficient. It's not going to
Hmm.
replace you. And that's my theory. We could go in the rabbit hole on that. And,
Yes.
and let's talk about some tools that we use, and we could kind of dig into each and every one, Helen, and we kind of combined ours, so that
Yes.
way, I use something and she doesn't use something. So for example, I use Telegram, which is downloadable to any phone around the whole world, just like WhatsApp. And then that's what I use, and then we communicate through there. We send leads through there. I hold my team accountable through there too as well, believe it or not. So which is pretty, because it's instant, it's right there, and they'll get feedback right away.
Yeah, essentially it's like text messaging, correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yes, Slack is the same way. Slack is essentially text messaging. What I also like about Slack is that I'm also able to have Slack on my laptop,
Mhm.
so I can communicate through my laptop versus my phone if I need to.
Right.
But yeah,
And
you want to be able to have daily communication where if you need them quickly, or or hot leads come in, or something has happened that we need to do something, or you may have a client says, "Hey, I have a price adjustment. Make this happen now." Okay, he's on fire, but we don't need to be. At least you can pass that message along, and they can run with it.
Right. Then you have Trello and Monday.com. Like I said,
Yes.
You could have Trello. Actually, I still have it. It's free for a certain board. I think 4 board per dashboard. 14 per dashboard. So which is pretty cool. Try to use that in the beginning. We had to move to Monday.com. Monday.com became for us, because of different teams that are out there. It was more efficient for us.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, we use Trello, and that was a newer product for us. And again, something that you had introduced to me years ago, but it was so confusing at the time. You're like, you only know what you know. And I was like, I don't even understand what this is. It looks amazing, but it was too far beyond where I was mentally at the time. But then I was really shown how to use it and embrace it. And Kevin, our operations manager, does spend a decent amount of time in there organizing it and making sure that all the tasks are flowing as they're supposed to.
Right. So I use Zoom to pay.
Okay.
At Zoom. So which is I think June, you wanna, is it like low fees? Because we try to do like PayPal's and all this other stuff too as well.
Yeah, we used to have PayPal, but I think it costs a lot more. There's like transaction fees that is like a percentage of how much you're paying, but Zoom is like just one constant fee for like a certain amount of pay. So I'm not sure with Wise yet, but I think some of you probably tried Wise. So.
Yeah, we have been using Wise because again, we had when I first was working with my virtual assistants, they had said, hey, we're often used to getting paid once a month, and I was like, once a month, like that's crazy. Like we get paid like an American, they would not wait a month for their money; they would quit. Like I was like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And then as in speaking with them, they had said, well, the reason why we get paid once a month is because the fees can be so high because essentially you're sending money internationally. We are transfer money internationally. So it's kind of like, okay, well, how does this work? How do we do this? Where these people who have worked so hard and given you all these great hours, now they're being penalized because this is how we have to pay them. So again, trying to find something that's going to be not expensive. And Diane said she had used Western Union. So again, there's a few out there. I think it depends upon country specific where those people are, what works with their banks, and then trying to find ones where the fees are are reasonable because you don't want to see someone penalized to get paid. Yeah, Rob Tucker also uses Wise with his folks, and so it seems like it's really easy, and they almost get paid instantaneously, and that's what you want to have happen. Is you don't want your people.
We learned something. Now we gotta look at something to do.
Right.
All right, designing tools. I finally came around to Canva, and I think that if you don't have Canva in your business, you're missing out. Spend that money that you need to. It made June smiling, made his life a million times easier. From photo editing to now they're having AI inside of it. We're just getting into it, so I'm not that much expert on it, but I just use it on the basics, and it is pretty powerful and easy to use to make flyers. And if you do need, we have how many templates, June? 3,000 templates, I think it was.
Yeah, we do have a lot of templates shared. We download pretty much most of them, and it's all about like flyers we got listing. Before I used to create from scratch from Photoshop, from PowerPoint. I used to create them from scratch, but right now everything is on Canva. We got templates, so it's like the 45-minute usually time for me to do a flyer is going to be done in like 5 to 10 minutes, so I can focus more on other stuff.
Yeah,
so.
and if you guys need it, it was done one of my mortgage buy. So just email me or check me, and I'll put my number on the bottom. We'll email it to you. You're gonna have to download it. I'm not sure if we were able to share it from our Canva, but we'll walk you through that too as well. I think we use the same thing, right, Helena? We both use Canva, so I think that's phenomenal and get that. Fireflies, I think you use that for recording a meeting. Yep, I use Read AI, same exact concept. Nothing unique in there, but it's great, right? You'll get text messages, you'll get the outline if you're doing a one-on-one with someone. It's pretty cool. And then we're using Pictory AI, and then we're also using I don't know, yeah, I haven't used that yet, so you could talk about that.
Yeah, no, they're all very similar tools. They're all really very similar tools. Something else I think we use a lot was let's see.
Opius?
Yeah, it's great because I think it's easy to edit, has studio sound, captions, has built-in media. It also it can allow you to make your eyes look at the camera versus looking away. So if you are reading notes, and then it helps you just kind of redirect your face. It's all AI stuff.
Yeah.
We also use something called Opus Clips.
Yeah,
Opus Clips is a great way to use if I may do a long, say like a 30-minute training or something, and then we can basically take that training and dump it into Opus Clips, and it will cut it down into little mini clips that you can then redistribute all over social, which is super cool. So it's almost like you can, as I've come to learn, I can take a long form video and put that on YouTube, and then take that long form video and chunk it down into maybe 18, 20 small form contents. And then they can be spread out as reels, short stories, Instagram, all that stuff all over the place.
awesome.
We also have been using something that's really unique that Kevin had stumbled upon. It's called HeyGen, H-E-Y, capital G-E-N, HeyGen. And what's really interesting about HeyGen is that HeyGen almost creates it creates an avatar for you. With that avatar, I can essentially send to Kevin an outline or audio of what I want to say, and he can put that audio into HeyGen, and it will create essentially the avatar of me saying whatever my message is. So it's a great way for me to almost produce video without me being the one producing the video. And what was really crazy is that he has sent a couple to my husband, and my husband, we couldn't tell which one was me versus the computer. I mean,
Wow.
it was stunning. Yeah, it was really, I had been doing some video shooting using a couple of different tools, and I was finding that the mouth and the words weren't quite matching up. And it was like, HeyGen was able to fix that. And it was like, oh my gosh, this is like better than live. So
Wow.
scary, but yeah, so you can actually create a couple different avatars, a couple different outfits, and then it allows you to just, put out all kinds of content without you physically having to do it, particularly if you're not comfortable being in front of a screen.
Right. And then we are using Performance Matrix for us at CTE with KPI trackers. This will really help you in your business especially if you have a cold caller or a person that's making the calls. You need to have something in place. You could build something really inexpensive right on, Google Docs or Google what is it called, Sheets.
Yep.
And at least they're logging into their numbers, and you have that on a monthly base. If you don't want to, this is like $35, but if you don't want to spend that, that's okay. Just get something that's recording their calls, as well as they're monitoring how many calls you're making and having a main KPI tracker with them. So CTEs works well for us. Daily startup, they'll tell us in the morning, here's my task, here's what I'm doing. And end of the day report is what we talked about before when they're wrapping up report for that. And making sure, one of the things that we started doing this year, or we were doing it, but now it's really crucial. I'm looking at their calendar and I am setting up their day hour to hour what they need to be doing. For example, like June, he'll say, okay, work on SkySlope. We're going to be working on social media, or we're going to be working on, getting following up with clients on between this and this and this. Because just like them, we get lost on the mayhem of the day, right? If you don't have your calendar set up, they're not going to know, you're not going to know. And whatever they erase, they're going to replace. So sit down with them, make sure that they build that out with you, and they give you a screenshot. I have that for my agents. I have that from everyone in my team. Why? It holds them accountable, holds me accountable, and gives them an outline of what they need to be doing. And especially for an ISA, which is an inside sales agent, which is making the calls, who are they calling, right? Is it just one person? Right. I like to say give them varieties. Maybe we looked at all the numbers. We said Monday and Thursdays buyers, Tuesdays and Wednesdays the sellers, and then Friday and Saturday are just follow-ups and Saturday for buyers and sellers. So now for about these are cold calls. They're calling these people, and then after that they're following up. So they have variety in their day. They're just not bored. The fatigue is going to come on after 45 minutes. So making sure that they are not just, unless you have a caller. I have one of my agents. She loves making calls. She's making calls 5 hours a day. But that's her pillar. But again, right person, the right seat.
No, that's exactly right. It's the right person, the right seat.
Right. And then I have Dub for my documentation. When I have my agents get on and I get, this is almost like, what's that called? But basically I record everything. I record all my meetings. I get all of my trainings up, and we could place them in an Excel sheet, or we could place them on a website. And once they complete it, I'll know that they have completed it, they looked at it. And then, for example, if they know they want to find out exactly what to do in SkySlope, I'll send them that recording because we already did the training, and they can rewatch it and go back. So you're not repeating something over and over and over. You have to save your time on that. And if you start documenting that early, great. You could use, there's so many free tools out there that you could look into, but I use Dub. I got in really early, and it's a great tool for me. So you could use YouTube, you could use Venmo, I think something it's called, but there's a whole bunch of things out there that you can use for free. So definitely document what you're doing. And then if you feel like it's outdated, every year, like end of the year, I just start erasing everything and then replacing it with new data that need to be done. Scripting, is every week. I say bi-week, but it's we're doing Tuesdays and Thursdays scripting at 8 to 8:30, and they bring their major objections and we go over that just to kind of help them, and we kind of go back on, hey, start trading that script, and then what they need to say, or if they had an objection, it can be handled the next day. So they have to bring their objection. And then weekly deliverables is basically my IS says they have to give us about 3 to 5 recordings. I give them feedback, so please do give them feedback on this. You can use AI now, but I don't suggest doing that. Know what they're saying, help them get fixed, because the more feedback that you give them, the better that you're going to get at this.
Yeah, they can't. I've learned my too. They can't make me happy if they don't know that I'm not happy. They can't make me happy if they don't know that. And often I sometimes find that it was my lack of clear direction or communication to them on what the task was, and that's why I'm not happy. So I'm like, I didn't really tell them exactly what to do, did I? And that's why I got what I got. I'm like, oh, they gave me exactly what I asked for. My directions were not clear.
Awesome. So this is one we kind of added in here, and I think this is so important because and we get this feedback, and that's why I kind of have June, and we have a couple other virtual assistants, and they could kind of speak on this. Know their holidays. I mean, you really need to know their national holidays and the time zone awareness. There's sometimes they'll get fatigued, and they might need an extra day off, or we got to the point where I said, don't eat a heavy dinner before you come to work, right? It's that simple, because if they eat a heavy dinner, they're gonna feel sleepy, right? So really work with them. And if they're already used to it, that's a different story. But and sometime something might come up that they might need a couple of days off, and work with them. Remember, they're working at night, the life is happening in the morning, and they're trying to sleep. I'll use June, and he's pretty open about this. He can't sleep sometimes. He won't be able to sleep. Then he'll have fatigue for about 2-3 days, and then like, Remy, I gotta come in late, or I gotta take a day off, and that's okay, because again, health is really important.
Right.
The cultural holidays that they have. There are some holidays that you need to dig in and say, okay, what do you guys need off? What's mandatory? What is this special holidays? Like Diwali for us in India is really important, and they don't celebrate. They're starting to celebrate here. Well, they don't celebrate it in a lot of the states. So, okay, they might need a day off, just to kind of making sure that you have a communication open, and you kind of relate to that. So work balance is really, really, really important on that stuff. So
it's very true. I think we have to recognize, although these are not people that we're seeing every day in terms of working next to us, or we can reach out and touch them, they are a part of our team. And we want them to feel as though they're a part of our team, and not just some random person sitting virtually behind a computer plugging away trying to help us grow, but that they really feel they're a part of something, and that we do genuinely care about them, and we do genuinely appreciate all the hard work and the time that they give us to help move our needle forward. It's making things better for my family. I want to make sure it makes things better for their family as well.
yeah, and just to go a couple of them, people have, again, different things. Like one of the things that I found out that, in the Philippines, there's a 13th month. And I didn't know about that until Gene brought it up, and some companies offer this, some companies don't. So know about that too as well, and we're working on health insurance as we move forward, and time off with the family. And the last one that I want to leave off, and I will leave off 5 minutes or 10 minutes to just for questions, is when you do award them, which I found so powerful. I'm like, okay, you're gonna take your this is for your family's dinner, or this is for XYZ. I need pictures, and I need you guys celebrating, because I want to be part of that celebration. I didn't do that. I'll just give them a gift. I'm like, here you go. Now we make it a requirement. Like, I need pictures. I want to be part of that, because I'm not physically there, or I'm not there with them. So
I like
that. In that engagement. So making sure that you do that, it's really good. And I think that's that. So we'll open it up to kind of a bunch of questions that are out there. The question that I would have first is, where do I start? Right? I mean, that's the number one question. How do you, if you haven't started, where do you start? We tried the PH platform where you hire someone. It is, if you want to do that for free and you want to go dibble and dabble, do it. But make sure you have a Google outline, you have the right questions, and they send you a video. Whoever goes through that and sends the video is great. If not, that's a free one, but there's so many other paid ones that is out there, and I think it's well worth the money to get started from. Sometimes we are reluctant on saying, hey, I don't want to spend this much, because I was like that. But I realized that's number one. And number two is making sure that you have an outline. Do not just hire someone just because you want to hire someone. It is, what you want completed, how to have an outline set up, and we can help you with that. I have so much information, but if you need help, just reach out to us. And then those are the first steps.